This video is on original oratory, which is one of our events that we compete in forensics. I'm going to go through the basics of what it is today and then give a general overview of the structure of an original oratory. So, original obviously means that you have written it. This is a speech that you will write. It's not a piece that you pick out. And then oratory just means something that you're speaking. Speaking activity. Okay. And typically original oratories are the same as a persuasive speech. Not all the time. Sometimes they can be a little bit more bent towards the informative, but typically they're persuasive speeches. If you tell someone that you're going to do an original oratory, they're probably going to ask what you're going to be persuading the audience of. Okay. Topics can be general or specific. I've heard speeches about persuading people that balance, for example, is overrated in your life. So that you should balance all your different activities that you do, and that concept is overrated. And I've also heard highly specific ones. For example, I've heard about funding for cancer research often wasted. Oh, you can see that this is an example of a general topic. Specific, you can go a lot of different directions with that. This one's a highly specific topic about a specific area. Okay. So when you start thinking about topics, the best way to do that is to start to look into current events. Okay. Oftentimes you will find amongst current events something that piques your interest, and you can do some more research on that area to see if perhaps there's something you believe that the audience should know about, and which may lead you to want to persuade them about some aspect of it. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing you can do, and I advise my students to do this often, is listen to TED Talks. Because TED Talks are anywhere from 4 minutes to 18 minutes, and they're typically persuasive. And so it's not only helpful to watch them for thinking about how to do a persuasive speech, but it's also helpful in finding areas of interest. Okay, and then beyond that, just brainstorming or thinking about things that maybe you believe that others don't. So, for example, I like to list out for my students controversial ideas that I know they'll disagree with, and ask them, if you were to make a case for this, how would you go about doing it? So, for example, one of them that I talk about is called antinatalism, an idea I heard about in a podcast. And basically, the idea is that it is immoral to have children because you are bringing someone into existence who will likely suffer without his or her permission. Okay? And so that's a weird, strange idea that's well, maybe not strange to you, but strange to most people. And it would be an interesting piece to do, because you would have to think long and hard about how would you go about persuading the average person of this perspective. Okay, so that's how you start to think about topic areas that you might want to persuade. And then when it comes to structure, the speech can be structured a lot of different ways. The most common way that I've seen it structured, and we'll call this structure 1, is you have your intro, you have causes, effects, solutions, and conclusion. Okay. In this type of structure, you would introduce the problem in the intro, talk about what caused it, talked about the damaging effects of it, and then propose some solutions before concluding. Structure number 2 would be intro problem. So spend a lot more time diagnosing what the problem is, causes / effects in one paragraph, and then solutions, conclusion. Okay. And this can go on and so on and so forth. You can mix it up however you like, but the basic structure needs to be there. There has to be something that you're diagnosing, so some issue, and then somehow you need to lead the audience to your solutions. Can't get around the solutions aspect. That's a critical part because you're persuading the audience to do something or think something. And so you need to get to that point. Sometimes students mistakenly will add this to the conclusion, thinking that it's just a little tidbit of information on the way out the door, but it's actually supposed to be a key part of the structure of the speech. So this is the overview. Typically, these speeches are 5 to 10 minutes in length, memorized. Okay. And the next few videos in this series, we'll talk more about each part, how to write each part, how to think about researching this topic, and going a little bit into detail about the best ways to persuade an audience. Okay. Thank you for listening and watching.